Bongzilla. Does all the strange aquarium bubbling sound when we do the podcast? What is that about?
There must be a fish. Welcome to the edge of nowhere. Monster Lore Tour Podcast. All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this 41st edition of the Monster Lore Tour Paranormal Deep Dives from the Edge of Nowhere podcast. Here with a special interview edition. I am your host, Jeremy Carr, here along with my co-host and the Montague to my Capulet, Mr. Matt Ozero, a.k.a. the Moz. How we doing today, Moz?
Nice. I like that.
Are you feeling a bit Shakespearean, possibly?
Well, I think our friend with Greg is both a love story and a tragedy, so I think it's fitting.
There you go.
But we can't. Can we be Guildenstern and Rosencrantz and a Montague and a Capulet?
Oh, yeah. I think we already were.
I know.
Those guys.
Yeah. And, yeah. So this is the
If there was a third one of us, we could be the witches from Macbeth.
Ooh.
That would be cool. We'll have to get a bone on here for one of those or something.
There you go.
Anywho, did I ask you how you were doing? I did.
You did.
Let's get into this. We got some old business I'm going to cover from the Yeti stuff that preceded this. And then Moz is going to have some more follow-up for that, I think, in the next deep dive episode.
Yeah.
But one thing we did miss in Yeti Part 2 is a best defense.
Ooh.
For the Banjekri.
Chuck Norris.
Banjekrini. No, you can't always use... You already used Chuck Norris.
Banjekrini.
But I thought of a really good best defense, so I wanted to make sure we came back to this.
Yeah.
For my best defense against those guys, the Banjekri and the Banjekrini, I would like to bring Grimbjorn the Old, son of Bjorn, the Werebear, and the Hobbit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that Stormcloud Care Bear?
You see where I'm going there? Because
I know all the Care Bears. Which one are we talking about?
No, it's Grimbjorn, son of Bjorn.
Tolkien.
He's a werebear.
Okay.
In the Lord of the Rings world.
Oh, right.
But I figure bringing the werebear as protection against the bear and the ape.
Right.
And it's like human and bear. It fits into the mold of the thing so well. You know what I mean? I feel like that would be a really good defense. So it could at least hold off the Banjekrini long enough for me to run away before I get eaten.
Yeah.
You know, it would be bear versus bear.
There
It'd be a cool fight.
Nice. Well done.
Yeah, thank you.
I appreciate that.
You said you had one as well, I think.
Did. Mine, I have to think about right now.
Uh-huh.
I'm just going to, all you have to do, kids, wear a dunce cap, because when they come looking for you, they're going to go, no, that's not the kid.
Oh, because you got the cone head.
Yeah. Now, they like cone heads because, it's the golden cone head, but this is a dunce cap. So they're just going to be like, isn't that the kid? No, that's a dunce.
Right.
And then they grab like the sibling.
It's like instead of playing dead like you would do with a normal bear, you play stupid.
Yeah.
With the shaman bear.
Yeah, it's really what Fox Mulder did to his sister Samantha. He just put on a dunce cap and they took her. That's the same story.
Oh, is that why he's so guilty about the whole thing?
Yeah, that's why he had to start the X-Files.
Take her, not me.
Yeah.
And then he gets to be guilty about it.
Yep. Then he goes to Oxford and
That actually makes a lot of sense.
No, it doesn't.
But anywho, let's get into our topic for the day. We're actually bringing you an interview we recorded in like kind of the earliest days of our recording for this podcast. So this is kind of a throwback for us, even though it's going to be new for everybody else. But this is an interview we did with our friend Greg, probably over a year ago now, I think, or just about a year ago anyway. We recorded this.
And some of you may be asking, why are we waiting so long? It's because I stared down the parole board and said, we need to edit the Greg interview that we recorded last year, so let my Jeremy go. And then the rest was history.
We were just kind of keeping it in our pocket for a rainy day.
Yeah.
But this is one of those that's got a variety of stories. There's some aliens and UFOs. There's some ghosts. There's some demon-y things and whatnot. So it's a good variety of topics. We haven't had one of those in a while. Our last few interviews have been kind of specialized to a theme. So we figured it was about time we pull this one out and let Greg tell you his stories. I do want to put out one little trigger warning PSA before we get into it. The last story he gets into does involve some self-harm type themes that it gets a little dark at the end. So just if you're not up for something like that, skip the last story.
Yeah.
But other than that, we found this one really entertaining. It was a good variety of stuff. And anything else to add before we jump into it, Mom?
Let's do it.
All right, so here's our interview with our buddy Greg.
Near Juliet.
All right, everybody, and welcome to this interview edition of Monster Lore Tour. Thanks for joining us on the ride today. We are here this time with our friend Greg. How are we doing today, Greg?
Pretty good.
Good. I know you have some stories. I know very basically what they are. I don't think I've really heard any of them before, so I'm not even sure how to start. I'm going to pass it to Maz. I think he's a little more informed on this.
Who are you?
Wait, who brought this guy?
Steve.
We also have we also have Cisco here. We did an interview last week, and he kind of never left the garage, and he's still here for this one. None of us have. So we have a special guest who can chime in whenever he wants. And, some of these stories I do know, and the reason we've brought Greg on is he has some pretty interesting stories. But I'd like to start light. And we have a couple of UFO stories. I thought we would start there. And you might not even know this, but we have one together. So, nope.
And see, there it is. We leave people confused.
I'm going to start explaining, and I think you're going to start remembering. So we're sitting in someone's backyard in Flagstaff, Arizona. We're staring up at the sky, and all of a sudden there's this little, it's not a satellite, it's a little star moving really slowly. It looks like a satellite star, and then it flashes like a bulb, like, and then it took...
Yeah, in your backyard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember that.
And I have to say it took probably 20 minutes for it to make 2 inches across the sky. To go behind the eaves of my condo. And every 20 or 30 seconds, it had a flash bulb like an old, 1920s photo.
How this is something like high atmosphere kind of thing? Like looks like a satellite, but then it was moving that slowly?
The bulb, first of all, was moving at least 10 times slower than a satellite.
Yeah, but it looked to me like height of a plane or higher, a little bit, not like satellite, not out of our, but so maybe
it wasn't that high, but like commercial airliner.
But it was moving.
Like
yeah, I mean, because it was brighter than what you would see, like the satellites and stuff. I don't know.
I would say
only as high as Maz, not as high as me.
There you go.
Yeah, but I was pretty high.
But the flash bulb part of it, the thing that got me is the flash bulb part of it. And it only lit up a small radius, maybe the size of the moon, less than the moon. Yeah. It was a little flash bulb of about maybe half the size of the moon.
Oh, okay.
So, but like a 20s style photo flash.
Yeah.
Every 30. Only heard someone ever talk anything remotely like this, and I wish I could have the reference, but someone else described something not the same but similar. But it took 20 minutes for it to go 3 inches in the sky.
Yeah, you're talking about the thing that I
was
told
so
you
slow.
probably that night. Yeah, because when I was little, actually, I was in high school. I was taking out the trash, and I was looking. It was funny because it was the same town, and we were looking the same direction. I was looking the same direction, and there was a big light, and it was moving real slow, and it had like 6 little lights follow it. Looked like a duck and little babies, and it was just. At first, I didn't think it was moving at all. And I just kind of stared at it, and I was like, no, it's moving, because you could see the edge of the mountain and stuff behind it. So you're like, yeah, it's moving. But it was moving real slow. And, yeah, I didn't believe what I saw. So I even went in and got my parents, brought them out. I was like, here, look at this, check this out. And then they eventually went in, and then it got to a point in the sky where the big one just disappeared, and then all the little ones, when they hit that exact same spot, they just disappeared.
Wow, portally.
You know,
like
it's
it
like-
went through something.
Yeah. They didn't flash like that other one, but they just disappeared.
Wow.
You didn't see anything at the spot they were disappearing at, just them disappearing. You
It
didn't.
just disappeared.
Wow.
Yeah. I didn't, I mean, it was night, but yeah, there was no.
They went to warp or light speed.
You know, it would have been cool to have been able to see a little flash or something, but I
think they'd leave a trail or
wormhole
something.
or who knows.
Yeah, it's almost like they jumped through, into a
Yeah,
wormhole
because
or
it
through
was
a
when
portal.
they got to that spot in the sky when they disappeared. So
Stargate kind of stuff.
yeah, it was interesting.
And you also said earlier, and you've lived in Flagstaff. Do you mind saying how long?
God, 52 years.
There you go. And where did you go to elementary school? And what was your mother's maiden name? No, I'm just
None you.
I kid the dark web.
None you
I
damn
kid
business.
I kid the dark web. But you also said a lot of things tend to change direction. You've seen a lot of things over the years. Just all of a sudden, you think it's a satellite, and then it goes.
Well, no, just, you see a light. You know, I stared at the sky like for hours when I was a kid. And to the point now where I'm freaking half blind. But, you would see something that, you would be like, oh, is that a satellite? And you would just start watching it. And then all of a sudden, it would make like a 45-degree angled turn in some weird direction and dart really fast and then stop. And then start moving another direction really slow. And then go another direction really fast. And, they would just keep doing that for hours.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories very similar to that, apparently, from just out on the res, not far from Flagstaff, out at Gray Mountain, Antelope Hills, places like that.
Yeah.
There's people that go out like every night and say they can just see the stars moving around really weird.
Yeah.
And the other hot spots, I mean, Flagstaff is one because we're near the Sacred Peaks, which is, sacred to a few tribes in this area.
Yeah.
And Sedona is just south, which is
Yeah.
also known for a bunch of odd anomalies. So I'm not surprised by that. But the one we saw, I can't explain what would be going that slow and be taking 1920 styles photos of us. It was the first. Maybe it's the first Google streetcar was really lost. Like
No.
they didn't know where to send it.
Yeah, there you go.
No, if I remember right, it was like dusk, that one.
I was night.
Was it night?
It
Or
was-
was it like
just
like on the edge of
maybe.
night? It wasn't like dark.
Yeah.
I have a theory. Maybe it was that Tesla that Elon launched into orbit flashing its high beams at you.
Yeah. From the past. But we also have one more. I think it's a pretty powerful thing that you experienced. You walked out of a house and you were between two buildings, and you're looking off towards one of the parks.
You will see, and I don't remember all of it. I just remember walking down the street and then getting to a point where I could see this park off in the distance, and I saw something hovering, and I just stopped and I stared at it for a second, and it just took off. And I believe I remember walking home, but there was so much just missing that I just kind of told myself over the years, maybe that's just a dream. So who knows?
Well, when you first told me, you said it as this is something you experienced.
I did.
Yeah.
Whether it be a dream or real, it's something I experienced, absolutely.
Right, exactly. Thank you for that.
And whether you heard the first part or not, it's all because you drink too much. No, I'm just kidding.
Well,
Anywho, so is that the end of our UFO segment? Any other alien, UAP, UFO, inexplicable sky sightings of any kind?
Well, there was once I was driving through the desert. We were driving, near California, Arizona, off the 40 in the middle of friggin' nowhere. And following the road was this huge black thing that was like, I don't know, maybe 50 feet, 100 feet above the road, that just, like, you saw it, and within a second, it was gone off the horizon. And then about 3 seconds later, you heard,
wow. And you know what this makes me think of, and it makes me glad Cisco's here, is, what is it, the SR-71?
Well, this one.
That thing goes like, what is it, the 2,000 knots land speed kind of thing?
When we got to the hotel where we were going, there was a magazine, and I don't know, Life or Time or one of these magazines that was talking about what they thought the stealth bomber might look like. And it was the stealth bomber.
Oh, it was straight up the stealth bomber.
It was the stealth bomber out there in the friggin' desert.
And this was early on.
Incredible. Yeah, it was before they actually released it, but it was amazing.
Before everyone knew what it looked like, you saw one fly right over you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah, it was pretty weird.
There's a UAP story that
is debunked.
But it's still pretty cool.
Yeah. But that's it.
All right, so we'll wrap with that on that UFO bent for this one. But as Maz said, we have some other categories. So what do you think we should do next, Maz?
Well, I remember you telling me a story about a short time in your life you had a haunted house, or was it a long time?
Well, it was quite a long time.
All right. So this is one of your childhood homes.
That was the one about 3 blocks from here.
So childhood home.
Yeah.
And you have a pretty groovy story.
Yeah, from kindergarten till senior year in high school.
Wow. So the whole shebang.
Yeah. No, but there was always weird things. Doors opening and shutting that had no business because latches worked perfectly friggin' fine in that house. And it was always in one part of the house, like the bathroom and the master bedroom. And, I don't know. It was so common that I never really thought too much about it. I remember watching TV. I was at home alone, and I looked over, and this rocking chair moved as if somebody got up and stood up, kind of rocked forward and then released. Right. Like somebody just stood up and left it. And I was like, okay, that's pretty obvious there. Once we had a furnace blow up, and the damn door blew off like right above right above the head of the bunk beds where I was in. And, yeah, I don't think that had anything to do with it, but that was part of that house. It was pretty crazy. I slept right through the whole thing.
It was a furnace geist.
Yeah, the furnace geist, yeah.
You said it was generally contained to one part of the house, though?
Yeah, the bathroom and the master bedroom.
That kind of just podcast callback, that's kind of reminiscent of Heather's house in Kachina Village in the interview Palooza.
Well,
so, yeah, we've only done one other interview with something like that, and it's like very similar. Like it was just this one room that was weird.
Well,
Or actually, it was two rooms, but it's contained to a certain area, you know?
Yeah, well, my parents eventually decided that they didn't want to be in the master bedroom, and they gave the master bedroom to my brother and I. Now that I think back about this whole thing, it makes perfect sense.
They were like, "What is going on in this room at night? We need to get out of here." And like, we'll just put the boys in there; it'll be fine.
That also happened with Interview Palooza. You remember? Same thing. It's like, oh, I always put my mom there when she visited the haunted room.
Yeah. That's how you know you're Generation X right there.
Yeah. Well,
those were the parents who were like, wait, which is the haunted room? We'll just put the kids in there.
Pretty much.
It worked in Poltergeist.
Yeah. Well,
that was fun. We got to play with the ghosts.
They,
where's Carol in?
my brother was 6 years older than me, and so he ended up taking off pretty quick to U of A. And shortly after he left, I was in that room alone. We had this dog named Tecumseh, and I remember there's a dresser in between the head of my bed and the other bed, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and Tecumseh was sitting there staring at the head of the other bed, and my brother was petting the dog. So I closed my eyes and immediately realized that my brother had just gone to college. He's not here. And so I was wide awake, and I instantly looked over, and the dog was sitting there staring at the head of the bed. There was nobody in it, and that was weird.
I have a theory for that.
Oh, yeah?
He was thinking about his dog. In the psychic connection between him and his dog was also thinking about him. He didn't physically manifest, but you were kind of getting the vibe of the dog so hard that you actually thought he was there for a second.
I don't know.
That's just my theory.
I think I saw the ghost. I think that was the first time that I physically saw the ghost.
So you just thought it was your brother, but on second thought,
yeah,
something's
I just
petting the dog.
Yeah, because I woke up.
So you don't think it was your brother petting the dog? You think it was
the ghost that was petting the dog, because the dog was still sitting there staring at the head of that bed. The dog was still being pet by something, but I couldn't see it anymore.
Once
when I
you woke up,
realized. Do you want to hear about the other time I really saw the ghost?
Oh, there's another time?
Oh,
yeah. Of course we want to hear.
In band camp?
Yeah, no, because of that. Yeah, this was after band camp. Yes.
This story doesn't involve a flute, does it?
No.
Then we're good to go.
But it does involve two kids that don't know what they're doing with the Ouija board.
Oh, no, we just did the... Oh my! I can't believe you're here on the same day as Cisco, because literally that's how his started, was with the Ouija board.
Yeah, well,
his ends with the Ouija board.
Well, this was because of that situation, that what I saw and all the things that have happened my entire life growing up in that house. I was like, I need to know more, and so I called my friend Justin from across the road, and I'm like, hey, let's screw with the Ouija board. And he's like, all right, and I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know there's rules to it. Don't know you're not supposed to have mirrors in the room.
They sell it as a game at the toy store.
Yeah.
It's so wrong.
Yeah. Well, so we start messing with this thing. And, I think he's messing with me. And, he's messing with it. I'm messing with it. And, we both think that each other's just screwing with each other. And I finally go, okay, who is here? Who is in this room? And it gave 3 initials, and I, off the top of my head, don't remember what those initials are, but it gave 3 initials, or 3 letters, and then immediately started doing this figure 8. And at that point, I think he's screwing with me. So I look up.
Everybody thinks it's the other guy doing it all the time. Yeah.
Well, I look up at him. And in the mirror behind him, I see somebody over my shoulder making a figure with his hand of a motion of a figure 8 on the board. And I just got the chills thinking about this whole thing.
I bet you did.
Yeah. And so I took my hands off and you know, kind of jumped, and it was gone. But I never messed with the Ouija board after that night. That was
Everybody gets one.
Yeah,
You know?
that was
one.
it.
My grandmother played Ouija with me once.
You shouldn't play the Ouija board, Johnny.
That was kind of done dangerously. Being dangerous with that Ouija board.
And now for a short film strip.
Goodness.
Oh,
Now let me
and then
not-
after that,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
next
yeah.
day, I actually went to my dad and I was like, "Hey, who was in this house?" Because I knew that there was somebody that had the house built, and it was a pharmacist that worked at the hospital or had his house built on that piece of land, and he actually died in that house. And the
initials
3
matched.
initials, yes, they were his initials. My dad remembered the first 2, like the first and last, and I was like, "Do you remember his middle initial?" And he's like, "No, I could look it up." And I was like, "Do you mind?"
Could you please? Yes, because
Yeah.
when the other 2 match, then you have to be like, what is the middle initial?
It was the same. It was the doctor or the pharmacist.
Wow, so you confirmed the
who it was.
identity.
Yeah. Yeah. The house, after I left, years later, a friend of mine bought the house right next door. And his bedroom was right across the fence from the master bedroom of my house. And I asked him one night, "Have you ever seen or felt anything in this area of the house?" Because it would be that general kind of area, and I was just curious. And yeah, he told me of a few experiences too, but you didn't really get into it too much, but you could tell that he was like, "Yeah, there's some weird shit going on here."
Yeah.
So something's still living around that area.
Did you have any other experiences like poltergeisty, ghosty in that house after that Ouija board experience?
God, we moved shortly after that.
That might have been a really good idea.
Well, yeah, my parents just bought another house across town, and you know, they got a good deal, and
That's great timing, I think.
yeah.
Yeah. It's after the Ouija board story we heard earlier. That might have been trouble for the house.
Did they take the master bedroom back, or?
No, of course not. No. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, they
We're gonna-
deny knowing about any of this, though. I did ask them why they ended up giving us the bedroom, and they're like, "Well, I don't know. Thought you guys could use the bigger space."
And the private bathroom,
Yeah.
and the jacuzzi.
Pretty much. And the door that opens and shuts on its own.
Just don't wake us up at 3 a.m, please.
Yes.
That's right. And I do want to.
Faucets turning on and off.
I think what we're learning
It's
after
fun.
just a few episodes is how much family members really just look out for themselves when this happens.
Yes.
And if you do have a Ouija board, please, in a very safe manner, burn it.
Yes.
But here's the thing. So I guess we should ask, though, anything else about that house? The backyard, the front yard, the attic, the cellar? Is there any other before we go? I mean, I have to admit, I've heard all these stories, I want to say, 7 or 8 years ago.
There was something else with the closet, but I can't remember. Like right across from
You said yes.
I can't remember
yes.
what. It's like maybe I blocked this one out.
But it's
there was something to do with the closet that was right across from the bathroom.
You saw something that deeply, deeply disturbed you, and you thought it was your brother at first, or someone, and then you know.
Well, that was the friggin' dog thing.
Yeah.
That was pretty disturbing.
Yeah. I will agree with that.
Deeply. But something else happened with the closet once, but I don't remember
When you
it was.
have an animal kind of confirming it for you like that,
Yeah.
I think we all know they have like a higher sense for those things
Yeah,
than we
totally
do.
agree.
And I think it's a strong confirmation that the dog was like looking right there, acting like there was somebody there, getting petted and all that.
Yeah, and yeah, because it wasn't some evil thing in the house.
It's petting the dog.
Yeah,
it's okay.
well, and even growing up, I never felt, even like with the doors opening and shutting and the water turning it on and off, and even the rocking chair, it was like I never felt like there was something like trying to go boo. Mm-hmm. Nothing trying to like scare us or
right.
Be like he was just stuck.
Right.
And,
Just stuck.
Yeah.
So maybe we don't burn the Ouija board until you get the spirit to pass on.
Well, no, Ouija boards, man, that's a whole different thing. I don't know what the
Yeah,
hell happened.
I'm
that
pretty
night.
sure that Ouija boards only bring demons and not the actual spirits they ever say they are. From all the accounts, and I've listened to a lot of that stuff because I'm an avid podcast listener as well. But
that comment is not authorized by Milton Bradley or any of its subsidiaries.
But I listen to a lot of podcasts
Or the
too.
evil
I listen
side
to. I've
of
listened
the
to
spirit.
so many of these accounts that when you get into the ones where people actually kind of pursue it to find out what it is, who it is, whatever, it always ends up being like a demon, not a dead person. It's not the dead little girl. It's an evil demon posing as a little girl kind of thing.
Well, what if somebody, ended up just doing something to where, this living in that spot for the rest of their life is that person's hell. So they're stuck there.
Yeah.
That's his
Yeah.
hell. He did something to end up being stuck in that house for
He got stuck
eternity.
in purgatory.
And
kind
so
of thing.
yeah, that's his personal hell. I don't know. Maybe he did something to make that happen, or he believed it in his mind anyway. So he personally made it.
Oh, that's
happen.
true because the initials on the board, I guess, kind of
Yeah. I mean, of course, I don't know. I'm not dead.
tie it enough together. But the demons will lie to you as well.
Yeah.
So maybe it maybe could have been two different things.
True.
And the Ouija
When we
board
messed
one
with the
was
Ouija
like,
board.
oh, someone died here. Let me pose as him, and then they'll talk to me, and they'll let me in.
Yeah, it's possible.
That's the feeling I always get from Ouija board stories is they find something they can use on you like that.
Yeah, that was the only time it felt wrong, weird.
Yeah, the small experiment we've already done, 2/3 of the population have Ouija stories. Yeah. So if this gets extrapolated out. But one of the main reasons we invited you here, actually was the two. The haunting one was freaky. And the second piece is that you have something related to something. And I've never actually heard you say that it was related until today. And I want to know why. But you have a story that kind of ties into kind of more of a Native American flair of an episode that we're going to be doing next. So tell us about your experience with a totem animal. I guess I'll leave it that way.
I personally would, from what I have heard from some of the natives, that there are skinwalkers that can change into a lot of different things. So my personal opinion is what I saw possibly was a skinwalker, because I've never heard of a ghost buffalo.
Right.
But maybe there's ghost buffaloes. I don't know. But I was dating this
I think they'd be called spirit buffalo.
spirit buffalo. There you go. God, I wish I could remember this woman's name. Not that I would tell you if I did know her name, but I wish I could remember her name. For some reason, my mind has blocked it out.
Don't give him another bong hit. Come on.
No.
with us.
I was just
Cisco.
talking. I was
Why do we have
talking
an
about-
interviewee too? Totally jeopardizing.
No, I was talking about
When
this
people are
with my son
willing to come
yesterday.
into the studio and give us their time and stories, they can have whatever they want.
That's right. Shut up. No, my son and I were talking about this yesterday. He was asking her name and it completely blocked out. Yeah, I wish I could remember her name. But I could tell you her relatives.
No, I don't want to get sued this early in the arc here, man.
Fair enough.
Just call her your friend or whatever.
Fair enough. My friend.
So where did this happen?
Townsend Winona Road.
Wow. So not far from here.
Yes.
That's not far from here at all.
No, about a quarter of a mile down. Yeah, you turn to the right. And then I'll tell you the rest about that part, like, in a little bit. But first, this woman that I was dating, and my son was just asking about her yesterday because he was like, yeah, whatever happened with her? She was an interesting one. She was the type of person that was trying to bring in spirits of all sorts. She had everything from prayer flags to Buddhas to, different Native American things. It's like anything and everything that she could think of spiritually, she had. And it was like almost as if she was trying too hard to find something. And I always wanted to know, what the hell? It's like, it was just too much.
Yeah.
It was
Overcompensating for something.
Yes, but I've learned that some of this can be dangerous. You got to be careful what you ask to bring into your world, because there's some weird shit out there.
Our garage door flew open and you guys showed up.
Right? Yeah.
This has been quite a day.
Yeah. No, so one day I'm driving and she's in the passenger seat and her son, who's a teenager, was in the back seat. And we come off Townsend, Winona, and we turn onto her property, and there's little horses, and then we kind of make this turn and up this little hill, and as soon as we get up to the hill, the top of the hill where her house was, I see this huge thing that looked like the size of a buffalo just take off, like across from the door, just
The door of her house?
What's that?
The door of her house?
Well, from that direction, yeah, like from the entrance or the beginning of her door area, and it just took off running, but it wasn't kicking up any dust, and it didn't jump any of the barbed wire fences.
It just ran straight
It
through.
just kept going, and I just kind of stopped. And I remember going, did I see that? That was weird. I don't know. Okay. And then all of a sudden, in the back seat, I hear her son go, did you see that? And
That reminds me of one of my stories.
yeah, and she goes, yeah, what was that? And yeah, but it was the size of a buffalo. But and at first it almost looked solid, but it obviously wasn't.
And you checked the fences, and the fences weren't
Oh
broken or
yeah,
anything?
there's nothing wrong with those fences. Everything was right where it's supposed to be. Went right through the neighbor's yard. It was
Wow.
it was not there. but all three of us saw it. It was there.
Wow.
And on a strange side note, she ended up losing her son a year later.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and I believe it was, he did it to himself, but yeah, I would not be surprised if it was whatever she was bringing into that house. She was bringing in some evil shit.
Was he sitting in the back seat?
He was the one that, because I didn't say anything.
I'm just
I just
sure.
stopped and was like, okay, I know what I saw, but I didn't say a word. He was the first one that said something. And, yeah. And then, at the age of 17, he ended up doing himself in.
Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was definitely a weird one. But
Did you get any sense?
I don't know if those are connected, but with the way she was, yeah, I would not be surprised if it was connected somehow.
Did you get any sense from this scenario whether you were, and you have some, I know we've spoken about this, you have some intuitive stuff as far as you can sense bad or good energies to some degree. We've had this conversation. Did you get any sense bad or good from this?
Yeah, we pretty much ended our relationship after
No, I meant,
that.
well, so it was, wow.
Yeah, that was, yeah. There was enough other things that were just kind of odd and off, but, nothing I could ever place a finger on. Sometimes you just feel like something's not right with the scenario. And then when that happened, I was like, all right, she's bringing in some.
What did you specifically,
shit.
No,
that was enough.
What did you think specifically about the bison, the spectral buffalo? Did you get us?
Can I let me?
Let me
jump in. I want to clarify.
I just know what I saw.
You said it was like the size of a buffalo.
Yeah.
Did you see it well enough that it was the shape of like it was a buffalo, like it looked like a buffalo, or it's just big?
It was kind of silhouette-ish.
Yeah.
Looked to me like a buffalo.
Okay.
But could I see like the horns and definition and no, it was
Not
more
really.
It was more just in shape.
Yeah.
Than
The
anything.
general outline of it was
Yeah.
buffalo-like.
Yeah.
But it ran through. Because honestly, that could just be like a shadow beast or something. Because, it's...
Yeah, it's a skinwalker, I told you.
Oh, this is your...
That was, I think, from some of the natives I talked to, I tend to believe that it might have been related to a skinwalker.
Oh, damn.
And
I could be wrong. I mean, there are other things out there.
Yeah.
But knowing the area, and the natives have a lot of things in that area that they consider spiritual, right downtown San Winona Road. So, there's been like a lot of burial grounds in that area, a lot of stuff that they've just kind of covered up and buried up and built houses over and this and that. Wow. So, I don't know.
This is also why I'm asking that, because we're researching this episode. I essentially found that generally the negative ones tend to pick a certain totem, and it's dogs or wolves or coyotes or deer, and bison and eagles, and some of these other ones are more associated with positive totems. So to have seen a buffalo-shaped one...
and it may not have been a negative thing, but it still freaked the shit out of me.
It could have been the protector. It was going there to chase out the negative
but
thing.
it was running away from that house.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Maybe in my mind it was, my brain was like, be like the buffalo and run the fuck away from that house.
Well,
I don't know. I just...
His skin...
No, but they both saw the same thing.
No, I'm just saying you were the buffalo because you were the one that was. It was actually you leaving the house. It was your cue to move on.
Yeah, it was my
Another portal monster on a life boundary.
Yeah. On that note, what did you think you were going through at that time? Was there anything? Because it sounds like maybe she was at a crossroads. Maybe your son was at a crossroads. Were you?
I don't know. I was just dating, and she was just somebody that I came across, and I found her fascinating because she was, very spiritual and looking into a lot of things that I thought to be positive, but there was just a few things that were just not right that bugged me to begin with. And then when that happened, something told me to be like the buffalo and just run. I don't know. But it was odd.
Huh.
It was very odd. And it didn't feel like a positive experience.
That's what I was trying to get at.
Yes. No, it definitely had spooky, scary, kind of evil, what the fuck is going on here vibes kind of thing. It wasn't, it was definitely, hair raising.
I hate to dwell on the darkest side of these things, but your SW theory is kind of fitting in that the kid passed like a year later, because their whole thing is they curse your house and then people start getting sick and you start acting weird and angry and stuff like that, and eventually it eats you away.
Yeah.
And she was trying to protect herself from every corner of spirituality, and in the end, maybe it wasn't enough.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's why she was reaching for so many spiritual things, because that house and that land was, haunted or definitely cursed. So, yeah, it's hard to say. Yeah. It's definitely a lot of strange things that happen down that area. Hey, have you heard about the Apache caves?
Yeah. Oh my God. That's a different episode. That's a different episode. Maz, we need to brighten things up. Tell us your Joe Walsh joke.
Oh yeah. So I saw Joe Walsh live when he was a little more intoxicated than he should have been to perform some of his songs. But he did keep stopping to make jokes, and one of them was this one. He said, so a grasshopper walks into a bar, and the bartender's like, hey, we have a drink here named after you. And he goes, really? You have a drink named Steve?
Great.
We'll try to do better next time on one of those.
You pay for this?
Easy now. We need... Hey now.
Yes.
We forgot to do something very important, though. Would you raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help me Godzilla?
No, you gotta go. Do you swear you told the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help me Godzilla? You just gotta say yes. We know you did.
Oh, sure.
So we're back here in the studio after the Greg interview. And, I have to say that I've heard all of his stories when you actually shovel them all together. It's a lot of weird things that happen. And Greg is, he's an honest dude. I know you don't know him. We do. And just even the part where he talked about the stealth bomber, he debunked some of his own stories. And
yeah, I still thought that was a cool story, even though he proved his own debunking.
Yeah, and the one he thought, eventually he said he debunked and said maybe it was a dream. When he told me that story about that UFO sighting, it really made an impression on him, dream or otherwise. But when you shovel them all together, he's got a lot of crazy stories that don't make a ton of sense.
Yeah, and honestly, that whole it may have been a dream thing is a feeling that a lot of abductees get. Yeah. Because of the kind of dreamlike state that they put you in when they abduct you.
Yeah. And then Greg had baby William, and then Mulder and Greg broke up, and then Greg had baby William. No, that's the X-Files. Never mind. Yeah. But the other piece of it is when we recorded this bit, the Chinese spy balloon stuff and the satellites weren't quite as prominent in the news.
Right, that had not happened yet.
But I still think if they only have 1920 style flash bulbs, we can win this race. We just have to find out where they're getting the film developed.
Yeah, that whole weird flashy thing you saw in the sky.
Yeah.
That was before we found out about all those crazy things that were purposefully flying around up there.
Yeah.
Human-made, even.
Yeah. Still makes no sense. However...
Yeah, it really doesn't. Like a flash bulb at that.
No.
Like, that's not a flash bulb. It's
not
doing
a thing.
something else.
I don't know what it is.
What is it?
I don't know.
It's really weird, yeah.
It is. But the other thing, my last comment for this interview is that I realized after listening to this a year later, all my fringe friends on the edge of society, between jobs, between homes, between girlfriends, count me among those for most of those, we are the ones with the paranormal shitsnick experiences, and my normal friends, the few normal friends that I have, nothing.
I don't trust normal people.
But I'm not kidding. Like, I have a few friends that are normal.
Yeah.
I have a group of friends that are not. And you talk to the not normal friends, they're like, oh yeah, you know.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You talk to the other ones. I sat at a table full of people and said, hey, anyone have a story? We're doing this thing of my quote unquote normal friends. They're not that normal. I mean, because they hang out with me.
Well, yeah.
But they all looked around and not a story.
Nothing.
Yeah. And then you kind of go back to some of the other folks on the fringe.
Well, you got to put yourself out there if you want to experience these things. You know what I mean?
You do.
People, and I'm not disparaging anyone. Everybody's got their own way of going through life and what makes them comfortable and happy and whatnot. But if you're one of those people that really likes a schedule and structure and, you know, knowing what you're going to do every day, working the 9 to 5 and all that sort of stuff, and you never really go out and do anything unexpected or spontaneous. Yeah. Nothing unexpected and spontaneous is going to happen to you either.
But
you know what I mean?
This group is not that normal. They are kind of crazy their own way.
Okay.
But they're the closest I have to normal friends.
Right,
and they don't really have any. And I guess I would say there was probably 6 people at the table, not one story.
Right. And our run of interviews here, I mean, most of our interviews in the first season are friends of ours. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it does show that if you start asking around, you're going to know a lot of people with a lot of stories.
Exactly.
Because we're not even close to finished with even just the people we know.
Yeah.
The interviews we can do.
They're pretty finished with us, though, is the way I hear it.
And speaking of which,
they hate
Greg's little lost time with the aliens kind of story reminded me of something that happened to me actually pretty recently. So I'm going to give you an Us Files right now. But then something happened. It happened to me.
Is this where you taped the X on the road and then you lost power in the car?
No, that's X-Files again.
That's still Fox Mulder. Okay.
That was Mulder. Yeah. No, this is I was at Bone Manor down in Tucson, Arizona.
A likely story.
No, like last month. Or I guess March. So technically it's May 1st right now that we're 2nd that we're recording this.
Was I there?
It was the night you were there. You guys were there and left.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I ended up sleeping in my hammock because he's got a great hammock spot in his backyard. Mm-hmm. 2 trees that are like perfectly apart and it's sunk down so you like can't even see me from the house. It's like really cool. But I'm out there. I fall asleep in my hammock and I remember I had a YouTube video playing about how weird owls are.
Like the we had just talked about owls that day.
Because
you did tell me this.
Yeah, because season 2 for us is going to be Owl Week, which is a month long, which is all about owls.
Yeah.
And we had been talking about it, so I was kind of in the mindset. So I fell asleep to this whole thing on YouTube about that sort of stuff. And I woke up like 3 hours later in their living room on the couch. I've never sleptwalked in my life. I sleep like the dead. Yeah. I don't move when I sleep.
No, I would attest to that.
I've never fallen asleep in one place and woken up in another, even when drunk.
Yeah.
Like,
and you were not. I remember you saying
like that does not happen. Like that's never happened.
That was my first question to you, and you're saying very little of anything.
Yeah, and I woke up on the couch like, what just happened? You know, I had one of those feelings, and I'm looking around like, what the hell? Yeah. Like how? And I did go back out to my hammock and went back to sleep, but weird experience. Like, it left kind of a weird feeling with me, that whole thing, because nothing like that's ever happened to me before. And when I mentioned it to you, Moz, you said something about, oh, you got abducted.
Yeah.
Kind of offhand, maybe a little half joking.
Well, we had talked about owls within a 24-hour period before this, or the day of.
Yeah.
And then I left for you to be abducted, because I knew you'd be abducted, and I was just going to kind of
But
leave.
I have something that I think might be a follow-up to that.
Oh, that I haven't heard.
That you have not heard.
Okay.
Went to a couple concerts in Phoenix just a few weeks after that for the Sasanta shows, Maynard James Keenan's 60th birthday. Great show. Thank you, Maynard, and Les, and everybody else who was there. But
You woke up in the Owl Club in Tucson.
going in to the concerts, they have, it's not your old school metal detectors. They have some kind of new detector thing that you got to walk through.
A nude detector?
You put all your stuff in your hands and hold it out in front of you and then walk through,
okay,
kind of
gotcha.
thing. It's more like TSA kind of stuff. First night I walked through it, like, everybody's walking through, no problem. Like, I watch a bunch of people walk through this thing. No one's getting secondary scanned, right? So I walk through, beep, 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 beep. Oh, sorry, you got to step over there, go through, put your stuff in the bucket and go through the old school detectors.
Yeah.
So I do it, and I'm like, what, do I got a plate in my head I don't know about? What are we doing? But I figure, okay, the machine does what it does. Second night we go back. I'm watching everybody go. There's more of a line. We went in a little later, so there's a line. I'm watching everybody go through. No one's getting second scans. I walk through. Beep, 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 beep. Second scan again. I'm like, really? Twice in a row? Like, this is a thing? And as I'm getting secondary scanned for the second time, I go, oh my God, do I have an implant from Tucson? Like, I remembered my waking up on the couch.
Oh, right.
And I'm like, do I have to scan myself for alien implants now? Why is this machine going off on me? Like, it literally came into my mind.
Wow.
At that moment. I thought of that. I thought of you saying you got abducted for that lost time and waking up in the wrong place in Tucson.
Yeah, we had talked about Mike Clellan's book on alien owls and synchronicity, and you were watching a YouTube video about owls right before you fell asleep.
Yeah.
And then something that never happened to you happened, where you woke up somewhere else.
Yep.
And then you can't go through a scanner. How
right.
The next week, is it?
I almost want to try flying somewhere just to see if I can get through airport security now.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Interesting.
So I'm going to, if anyone out there knows how to properly scan yourself for alien implants, please send me an email at monsterloretour@gmail.com. You can use a fake name if you want, if people might be looking for you.
Yeah.
But I could really use the advice.
Yeah.
Because it freaks me out a little bit.
That is bizarro.
Yeah. But that's all I have. You got anything else here before we wrap this up, Moss?
I do not.
Because now I'm a little freaked out. I need a drink.
I would like to thank Greg for finally. He was a reluctant interviewee.
He was, and he gave us a great interview.
Yeah,
he really did.
And I've heard all those stories over probably a 7-8 year period, and to see them all shoveled into one place.
Especially impressive that he gave us such a good interview, considering how drunk we had to get him talking to begin with.
Lost Highway.
It's a great ply, man.
Yeah.
Give them that 8% beer. They'll start talking.
There you go. That's the way we do things here.
Yeah, we know how to get people talking. If you would like an interview with Monster Lore Tour about some crazy stories you have, also please send us an email at monsterloretour@gmail.com.
And we will send you a Lost Highway Black IPA from Mother Road Brewing Company.
No, I don't think we have that power. You can't mail beer, and it's a seasonal that is not in season right now. So stop making promises, Moz.
And you go off the scanner, you also won't be able to get.
We cannot send you the beer, just to be clear. But if you come to Flagstaff, we'll buy you one.
There you go.
Yep.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, come to the garage. We'll interview you. We'll buy you a beer.
There you go.
That's what we do. But all right, we're going to get out of here before we get it any weirder. Until next week, have a good one, listener. Monster Lore Tour Podcast.
I'd like some more, sir. Some more.
Dude,